Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to episode number 32 of the Primetime Rundown Zoom interview series right here on the Eastern Observer and the Blackjack Media Networks. It is Hockey Week, presented to you by Blue Line Deli and Bagels right here on Long Island. Visit them at bluelinedeli.com. I'm Joey Jarzynka. We cannot thank you enough for joining us here on this Saturday evening. We are joined by former Edmonton Oiler, New York Islander, and Atlanta Thrasher forward, Rob Schremp. Rob, how are you and how are things going during your quarantine?
Yeah, doing well. Things are good. So, been pretty busy getting things going with my hockey platform. So it's been exciting and, getting a chance to get out and work with some players. I'm in Vienna right now, actually working with Marco Rossi. He's an unbelievable hockey player. And it's been a busy time with 44 Vision, but then this kind of stuff is kicking up. So we'll get into that, I'm sure, but it's been a busy time for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially with the caliber of Marco Rossi, he's projected to be about a 6 or a 7 overall selection in this year's 2020 NHL draft, which will take place virtually in October, I believe. So let's get things started here. For those that are just tuning in for the first time, the Primetime Rundown Zoom interview series, all of our guests, we figured out that they all have relations with the East Coast. Obviously, Rob Schremp has a lot of relations with the East Coast because that's where he's from. He's from Fulton, New York, and we're going to get more into who he is beyond the media guide from when you saw him with the Islanders, the Thrashers, and the Oilers as well. So you were born in Fulton, New York. Back in your early playing days, you played in the Quebec International Pee Wee Hockey tournaments with a minor league team in Rochester, New York. Talk about your time there and how hockey became almost a hobby for you, and it eventually turned into a job.
Yeah, and the Tournée de Quebec was amazing. My first year, I got to play with the 85 birth years with Michel Fournel and that group. So it was really exciting. I knew a little bit about it from Don Kernan, who had won, I believe he was the first American coach to bring a team up there and win. But then getting a chance to experience it with Rochester, it was amazing. It was such a good first of all, it was a good challenge because the hockey was amazing. It was teams from Russia, teams from all over the world came over there for the Tournée de Quebec, and then kind of first chance to sort of gauge your own game against what was out there in the world. You only know really what you can kind of gauge yourself going up to Toronto, which tells you something. But then when you do it on a world level like that, with Tournée de Quebec, it was amazing. And our family went up there together, so it was a nice family trip and great bonding. And then the next year, went with the 86 burst again with Rochester, with Mr. Collins. Glenn Collins played with Greg Collins' son. It was another great experience. Obviously, being a little more prepared the second time, knowing what we were going into. It's a tough tournament too because it comes fast. So it was a really cool experience, and we enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only enjoying it, but it's also a close drive for you too from Fulton, not too far in central New York. So then following your time in Quebec, then you actually made the shift over to the next province just a little west to the OHL in Ontario, and you were able to play for the Mississauga Ice Dogs, where you recorded 74 points in 65 games. 26 of those were goals. You were named the OHL Rookie of the Year in 2002 to 2003. Talk about the move to move yourself, and this is the first major move for you to leave your family and begin your professional ice hockey career.
Yeah, it was definitely an adjustment per se. Young age, leaving home, leaving family is never easy, but it was close. 3.5, 4 hours away, and the fact that kind of knowing it was the next step towards kind of chasing after my dream was what made it a little bit easier. And mom and dad came to a lot of games, so they made me feel really good, and not like I was, going too far away. It wasn't that far. So obviously playing all those youth tournaments growing up, knowing how, Toronto wasn't that far away, so to speak, from home. So it wasn't too, too big of a leap, so to speak. I knew my dad would be up every weekend. So, but it was great, next step towards your career. It's, really a well-known league. Obviously everyone knows what it is. And like, when you're going there, you're now basically saying like, I'm now taking a step towards making the NHL. So it was exciting times, and getting a chance to go play for Steve Ludzik was amazing. He was such a good guy and such a good coach. His family really took care of me very well. So it was my first year in Mississauga was a lot of challenges, but like I said, the Ludsies helped me. The Ludsigs helped me out a lot, and then have mom and dad there every weekend. Really, it was good.
Yeah, and the good thing too is, Rob, is that your family, they're able to be there, but also the best part is that it's not a 4 to 5 hour flight as opposed to a 4 to 5 hour drive, which is really great. So God forbid if there were times when, which I'm sure everybody has, almost they get a little homesick where, you want to come home just for, a day or whatever, you can. And all you got to do is just cross the border. It's really, it doesn't take that long, which is great for you. And really to be blessed to do that, because really you could have been elsewhere, or you could have been born elsewhere where you could have been out in California and then made your way out here. And then, you're really stuck for sure. But which again is great. Now, was that ever a problem for you? And this is something that I know I didn't ask you last time when we were chatting, but was that ever a problem for you where you wanted to come home at some point, maybe, I don't know, one Saturday or something just to get away?
Yeah, getting homesick a little bit. It was tough. Like, just want to be back in your own. Like I said, mom and dad were there quite a bit, like almost every weekend. I don't think my dad missed a game. My mom came pretty much every weekend as well. But more so like being in your own surroundings and being.
There you go. We're back. Yeah.
Sorry, someone's calling me.
You're good, man.
So just kind of being back around your friends and your own setting was that yeah, I guess that's homesick. It wasn't like I missed mom and dad. It was because they were there a lot, but it was just being back in Syracuse area, going to the rink in Cicero, and that missing that setup, so to speak. So yeah, it was a little bit, but that's part of growth. It wasn't like daunting where I couldn't function. You know what I mean? One of those things. Sometimes people get really homesick, and it's almost like they can't even keep going on. It's tough. It's not funny, but it's really tough. I didn't have that, so to speak. It's just my mom and dad were there.
Yeah.
That really, as soon as that kind of feeling would come and have fresh, home come up to us, and then it was back, like reset every time I got to see him. So I guess it's a long way to answer, but not too bad.
Yeah, no, and obviously, not looking for the joke out of it, but really the biggest thing is that, there are a lot of people out there. Obviously, we're all human where, and it's not even to go home to, to mommy and daddy. It's more on the lines of, we just want to be in our safe comfort space. We get out of our comfort zone, but then at some point, all right, just to, kind of, refuel the tank and just be home in your four walls. But now, obviously, growth for you took another major step, and actually the biggest step of potentially your hockey career, your hockey life, etc., where you were traded to the London Knights. And obviously, it's not that far of a move for you, which is nice. But you were traded, and you got your first feeling of what being traded in this business feels like. You obviously also helped them to win their first Memorial Cup. 2004-2005, you scored 90 points in 61 games played. 41 of those were goals. And in 18 playoff games, you had 13 goals, 29 points. Talk about that move for you and what that got you prepared for come your NHL career when you were on the move quite a bit.
Yeah, so I didn't really expect to move that quick. After my rookie year, the organization, they sold the organization and new people came in, and it just really wasn't a fit. It was not to get too deep into that details, but like just seeing how fast it could change, and it did, and then how fast you have to kind of make a decision if you stick around or get out early. Especially coming off like rookie of the year, being a first overall draft pick, I never thought I'd be moving that fast. Out of a situation, but it did teach me a lot. Taught me the game is, because growing up and like you're back to what you're saying, like what we're talking about is what your comfort is. There would never be a chance that I would be traded out of Syracuse. You know what I mean? It was where I grew up and like that was my people. So realizing that it kind of starts to be a business was an eye opener, and then going to London and getting a chance to play with some great hockey players was it was a great, I don't want to say it wasn't a challenge, so to speak, but a great beginning. You know what I mean? Right off the bat, it was a winning club. The rink that we played in the John Labatt Center at that time was amazing. It had just a much different feel, and it felt, I didn't know at the time what professional felt like, but like it felt like you're being treated like a pro, and it was, you know, really geared towards that, being a professional, playing professional hockey at a junior level. So it was a lot of fun. It was a little bit further drive for mom and dad, but again, they didn't miss any games. My dad was at every game. My mom was whenever she could, you know, with work. But it was so much fun to go there and win, and have the group of guys that we won with become like brothers. When you win, you know, win a championship, you go through some hardships. We didn't go through many hardships with London because we were well prepared.
Yeah.
But even the first year that I got there, we lost in the finals, in the Western Conference Finals to Guelph, and that was it really showed what it took to win. You know, we thought we were the better team, and we kind of, I don't want to say we relaxed, but I think the other team had a little more urgency. That taught us a lot. The next year we came back and we went like 31 games undefeated right off the start of the season, because we were, you know, fired up and wanted to prove, sort of thing. And yeah, we ended up winning a championship, and the city was around it. The community of London, Ontario treated us like it was our home. It felt really good there, really, you know, I don't say safe, but like comfortable. And for that, you know, feeling, it helped all the players. I think when we played, you know, at home Friday, Saturday, whatever the night was, it was like you're playing in front of your family. Turns out it's 9,100 people in the building, but you were trying to make them proud, sort of thing. It was a great atmosphere to play in, and it was my best feeling of hockey, even through pro.
Yeah. And you know what? The best part that you said is that the community made you feel like home, or they, you know, they really treated you like royalty as well. And especially the city of London, Ontario. I've never been to a London Knights game, but I've heard so many stories that they treat it out in London similar to, like, obviously you're an American, so you know, down south, obviously high school football is very big and college football is very big. So I've heard that comparison where, you know, in Canada, where the, you know, the path to pro, if you will, is similar to that. Would you agree or disagree with that? Like that is the similarity for Canada?
Yeah, 100%. Junior hockey is, you know, Friday night lights, so to speak. Yeah. Everybody's geared up for it during the week, talking about the game. You know, the media people, you get interviewed at that young age talking about, you know, the game coming up, and then there's the interviews after the win or after the loss. It kind of really teaches you at that young age of like how to handle the attention and how to handle what comes with it, because it is part of it too. And I think some people shy away from it pretty, you know, they have a hard time with it. But without that interest in that, you know, without that interest, you don't have professional sports. You know what I mean? So it comes with the territory. It's not something like, you can't have your cake and eat it too, so to speak. You can't have 9,100 people really curious and really, you know, interested in the team, and then not have to give some kind of insight to it. So it teaches you how to handle it, because it is not easy. Sometimes you do want to run from it, but, you know, if things aren't going great, it teaches you to face those challenges and, you know, fix them, kind of thing. So yeah, I think that's what you get in the States with football, right? And for Canada, people love hockey up there. So it's just their passion. They talk about it all the time. I love it. I talk hockey all the time as well. So I fit right in.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? And it's true, because you really get thrown into the fire. And that was something that we said when we were chatting earlier too. Throwing into the fire is probably the biggest phrase, because you were also selected for the World Juniors 2005 and 2006 too. Now, talk about wearing your country's colors and what that meant for you at, again, the next stage of your hockey career. Talk about that, how that felt for you.
Yeah, it was great. It was really an honor to be picked. It's such an honor. It's a privilege and an honor to play for your country, and the opportunity again to challenge your game at the highest level. That at that time, that's the best tournament you can get into. If you're not playing the NHL at 18, that's the second best gauge you're going to get, because all the best players from all the countries are in one spot. So it's such a big opportunity. And then with the honor of wearing the USA jersey, it's another piece of a nice element to it. And we played in North Dakota, so it was really a great experience, and getting a chance to go out and see. We played in the Ralph Engelstad Arena. It was such an amazing rink. What a setup they had there. And, yeah, I really enjoyed it. it was freezing. I'll say that. It was so cold out there. It was so cold. There was a gas station, not even like probably about 500 yards away, and you couldn't walk to it because it was that cold. It was freezing.
Wild.
It was wild. It was hard to believe. You're like, what? They're like, you don't walk over if you don't have a ride, just whatever. And they try to go against the advice. And I had to sit in the gas station for like 10 minutes to unthaw just from the 500-yard walk. It was freezing cold.
Wow.
But yeah, it was a really good experience, and it was fun to kind of not only gauge where you were in the world against other players, but also your countrymen, because a lot of the guys come from different places for World Juniors. You know, there's guys playing in college, there's guys playing everywhere. So getting together in one setting is, and, you know, being on the same team is kind of gauging yourself against that as well, and see where your level has to be or how to grow and what other guys are doing. It's a great learning experience to see what other people do, how they approach the game, you know, and how they execute certain things in everyday practice. So it's like when it's an opportunity, it's those details that really matter. You're getting, just like when you play in the NHL, that's why it's so amazing. Other than you're at like they call it the show for a reason. It's so special. But like the thing is that you play against and with the best players every day. It brings your level up. That's the opportunity. This level, World Junior level, playing for a team like the London Knights, it raises your level. So that's the opportunity, and why it's such, people really want to play there. People will have so much pride playing for their country at World Juniors. Those are the kind of the small details that really add up.
Yeah. And it's very similar to, obviously, whenever, you know, whenever we see some of these guys at the NHL level, when their teams get eliminated, they head overseas to go play for the World Championships, and they still are able to don their country's colors, which again is another honor. Where, you know, most of them they do head over there, but some are not invited. So, you know, it's a privilege to eventually get there and play with other guys at the top level that, you know, couldn't get it done here, but eventually go for the medal there. So following your time at the World Juniors, 2005, 2006 was, you led the OHL in scoring, 145 points in 57 games, something completely unheard of, 57 goals, 47 points in 19 playoff games, something else that is completely unheard of. But then all of those points and everything that you accomplished going back to the OHL, going back to Quebec, and etc., was recognized in the 2004 NHL draft when you were drafted 25th overall by the Edmonton Oilers. But here's the asterisk, everybody, drum roll please. The work stoppage happened right after you were drafted. So talk about the fact that you've worked up everything. You've done everything you can up to this point, Rob, and you can't play for 2 more years. How much of a shot to the heart is that?
Yeah, it was tough. It was really tough because that's it starts when you move away from home at 16. You're starting that kind of snowball towards reaching or achieving your dream, and then in the year you get drafted, they hit the brakes. So it was pretty tough in the sense of just you're so eager for that moment, and then it's so out of your control. That's totally out of your control. You're a junior guy, you just get drafted, and then, you know, 3 months later they say we're not playing. So there was no NHL camps. There's no chance to really go there and make the team at all. There was not at all because they didn't play. Yeah. So just kind of hit and reset and refocus. It was disappointing, but the next year then we were in London. That was the year we won the Memorial Cup. And that's why another thing that made it really special. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise. Our team we played so well that we got a lot of attention because there was no NHL. There was, you know what I'm saying? Like all the highlights were junior highlights, and we were making them a lot of times. So it built a lot of interest around our team and what we were doing. So like I said, it was kind of a blessing after the disappointment of it. And then we kind of, as a team, we sounded like we talked about it, like, hey, there's no NHL, let's be really good. We just decided that we were going to be really good. And then the attention that followed it was because there was no NHL. I don't think we would have had as much, to be honest with you. Obviously, even though the season that we had, we want to be in team of the century. I don't think we would have had such a great experience with the NHLs at the same time. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It was literally, we were like on the spotlight. We were winning 31 games in a row. So there was a lot of, you know, TSN talking about it. There's all the sports, you know, sports radio shows we were doing, getting interviewed as players, and the really cool ones. It wasn't, you weren't on like shows talking to like 5 people. You were on like the big ones, right? So it was like kind of a cool moment. So yeah, after the, like I said, disappointment, then there was the, get back to London and let's go do something there. And then the next year, obviously they came back, and I still didn't make my debut for another couple of years. So it was a weird time. It really was, just because at like 16, you're hitting start, you're thinking like 18, 19. That's the number you're looking at. And then, just a couple hurdles that came in the way.
Yeah. And exactly what you said, just to rewind for a second, where, we look to now during this pandemic, and obviously all sports have stopped on every single level. And you look at TSN, you look at ESPN here in the States, and you say to yourself, well, what are they going to play, when there's nothing on? And exactly what you said, when the NHL was in a work stoppage, and in Canada, where that is the primary sport, what else are you going to play? And I'm not undermining the OHL, but at the same time, again, that is, as you said, perfect example, like Friday Night Lights here in the States. So now they're really going to put the spotlight on you and get as many interviews as possible from you guys, and to make sure that you guys are NHL ready when the work stoppage concludes. So you again, as we said, worked all the years. You eventually made it to the AHL squad, which at one point was not too far right out of your backyard. Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, which obviously now they're for the Pittsburgh Penguins, but they were for the Edmonton Oilers. As I didn't say earlier, that's who you were drafted by. April 5th, 2007. We'll fast forward a little bit. Minnesota Wild at Edmonton. 2007, inside Rexall Place, you make your NHL debut. Talk about your solo lap first off. And did you? And I'm assuming you had that, obviously, did you not? You didn't.
No, I didn't get the.
Wow.
I didn't get the what do you call it? The prank.
Wow. Okay. All right. So you didn't get the prank, but now, again, all joking aside with that, now just to make your NHL debut, did your family get out there to watch you, or were they able to get out to Edmonton to see you in front of 15,000 at Rexall?
They were not. They were on their way out, and actually their flight got canceled. I believe there was a weather issue. Yeah. So it was kind of disappointing, and it was a lot of that moment is really special in the sense of like all the sacrifice, everything that we put into it as a family. To not have them there was unfortunate, but again, out of our control, out of their control. They were bummed, but it is what it is. Just got to play on.
Yeah,
it would have been great to have them there. They did a lot to help me get there, and that moment was for them really just as much as it was for me. So I wish they could have been there, but it is again, there's no solution. Flight got canceled, weather problem. It was kind of crappy, but it's okay. Yeah.
You said it last time too, completely out of our control, out of their control. But then obviously they were able to see you just, again, not too far in your backyard here out on Long Island when you were claimed off of waivers by the New York Islanders. September 29th, 2009 was when you were claimed. And then obviously you had your best NHL year and a half here with the New York Islanders organization. So obviously with most of our viewers being Islanders fans, they've wanted to see this interview all week long because they know Rob Schremp very well from your time here out on Long Island. Talk about when you made your Islanders debut here, and then also being able to live life out here, being comfortable out here, and also scoring 47 total points, 17 goals in 2 seasons here in New York.
Yeah, it was such a coming home feeling when I got picked up by the Islanders. It felt great to be coming back home to New York and being closer to mom and dad, and also like a fresh, clean slate and a chance to hit restart, so to speak. And it was great. It got back, and it started a little bit slow, to be honest with you. I kind of got back. I got picked up, and then to get my chance to get in the lineup, it took a minute. But once I got a chance to relax, like I said, hit restart. Even though I wasn't playing, it was good to be in the NHL every day, be practicing at that level. be experiencing the NHL. And then when I got my chance to get in the lineup, it was really special. I really felt good there, and I felt the group of guys. It was fun to be around them. Felt like a brotherhood, so to speak, inside the locker room. And when I scored my first goal in the NHL, the emotion and the emotion from my teammates was what was special. Sharing it with them, and also have my mom and dad be there for it. So the flight canceled, got paid back. That first goal they got to see. So. It was really great. It was. I enjoyed my time in Long Island very much, and wish it would have lasted longer. But the time that I did get, very appreciative of them giving me the opportunity, and getting a chance to be in the NHL and play with some really great hockey players. It was a special time.
Yeah, and then following your time in or on Long Island, rather. You were then claimed by the Atlanta Thrashers, or the then Atlanta Thrashers, now the Winnipeg Jets, February 28th, 2011. You got to play with the likes of current Islander Andrew Ladd, Toby Enstrom, Dustin Byfuglien, who just recently retired, Evander Kane, current San Jose Sharks winger, Blake Wheeler, Winnipeg Jets captain right now. So talk about playing with those guys, also Johnny Oduya as well. You were able to play alongside all of the aforementioned players that I had just mentioned, who really have gone on and made a name for themselves, and you were able to play with them. Talk about the privilege of being able to do that.
Yeah, we had some great talent down there, and it was, again, a privilege and an opportunity. Really enjoyed my time there, getting on the ice with those guys every day. Byfuglien and Wheels and all these guys that you mentioned were really – Anthony Stewart, Tim Stapleton. These guys were awesome guys. It was a great bunch of guys. And it was a weird time getting picked up again. And I thought, hard to transition from Long Island down to Atlanta. Like I thought it would be a little bit longer in Long Island. So it was hard to take, and it happens fast. So I got put on waivers. I got picked up the next day, and you're out. So it just goes like that. It's very hard. You don't even get a minute to grasp, really. So you give a new challenge, and it's literally happening in 24 hours. By the time you land, you're in practice the next day.
Ladies and gentlemen, just bear with us here. Looks like Rob Schremp is frozen. And he's frozen with his arms crossed. So give us 1 second here, and something may have happened on his side in Vienna, Austria. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here following the technical difficulties. Again, alongside former Edmonton Oilers, New York Islander, and Atlanta Thrasher forward Rob Schremp. I'm Joey Jarzynka. We cannot thank you enough for joining us here and sticking with us here throughout our technical issues here on Hockey Week, presented to you by Blue Line Deli and Bagels. Visit them, bluelinedeli.com, here out on Long Island, 719 West Jericho Turnpike. For more information, bluelinedeli.com is your site to go to. So just before we had some technical difficulties here, Rob, we heard about your time in Atlanta. And that's where we were up to, playing alongside the guys of Ladd, Enstrom, Buff, Kane, Wheeler, etc. And then, unfortunately, Atlanta then moves to Winnipeg. So talk about your time and how you liked it in Atlanta. And again, the move, also another, let's call it cross-country move, if you will, or down country, if you will.
Yeah, no, it was kind of a shock with the move, to be honest with you. I'd never even saw it coming with Atlanta going to Winnipeg, finished the season there, and kind of thought there'd be a good opportunity there. I wouldn't say I tore it up by any means, but I played really well in the role that I was given there, and then knew the management, so I thought there'd be an opportunity. And then maybe a month after the season, got a text from Ladd, the group did, the whole team, saying that the team was moving to Winnipeg. So that was the first I heard about it, and I was like, whoa. So from there they changed management. They brought all new people in and reshuffled, so to speak, and my time was done there. They kind of wanted to go a different direction, and so it was kind of a shock. Again, another hurdle in the career, plenty of them, obstacles, so to speak, and it was time to figure out and trying to find a new spot where to go, and that wound up being in Europe.
But you overcame all of those obstacles. And the reason why I say you overcame them is because you still were able to get chances, whether it was in the NHL or whether it wasn't in the NHL, it was in Europe. And it just showed Rob, that you were wanted. And it may have not been where you've wanted it to be, but the biggest, I think the way you've said it before earlier when we were talking about your parents not being able to make it to Edmonton or not being able to make it, or to not to be able to play right out of the draft, and obviously wait for the work stoppage, it wasn't meant to be. And I like the way you say that, because maybe it just obviously it was not meant to be, but you were able to play in Europe. So talk about your time there. And in 2014, from that time, you were playing for 7 European clubs in 4 years. So with that being said, that's obviously a lot of movement. You were used to the movement here stateside, or North America side, if you will. But with that being said, did it show that you were wanted? Did you see that these teams really wanted you? Or did you just say, well, I'm going to try here and, let's see if I can get back to where I want to get to with anyone?
Yeah, no, in Moto, it was really good. Marcus Naslin and Peter Forsberg were the general manager and assistant general manager, and then Alf Samuelson was the coach. So it was a great fit there. From that year, had a great season. Really enjoyed the hockey. Great team, everything, all about it. I had a really good experience, and then it was trying to make it back to NHL, and there wasn't any opportunities. So from there, it was kind of. My first season over there was more about going to a spot where I thought I could make it back. And then from after realizing that I wasn't going to make it back was more about trying to make a living. And, if going back, I think maybe I probably would have stuck around Moto for longer if I could make a decision. If I could, what do you say? If I get a take back or redo. Yeah. I enjoyed it there in that setup. I really was comfortable on the hockey side of it, which is important for me. For me, it's when hockey's going well, my life is good and I'm on a good path. And, it always depends on how hockey goes, really dictates. And it's hard to detach those things. Some guys can enjoy themselves when things aren't going that great and figure a way to leave hockey at the rink. I never was. I wasn't a guy that could do that. Hockey it comes with me every day, every minute of the day. So if it's not going well, then it really makes it hard to enjoy where you are living in Europe per se, or wherever you are. I mean, even in North America, playing in the minors, if it's not going well, it's hard to, what I mean? It's hard to detach.
Yeah, no,
so,
absolutely.
Moto was good. Like I said, I'd probably go back because then the next thing everything happens for a reason. I'm a true believer in this. The next year I had a short stint in Latvia in the KHL, but I met my wife. So there's blessings and there's silver linings to everything. This path has been kind of crazy in some aspect, but seeing it from a different light now, being a little bit older and realizing the expression, everything happens for a reason, and it's become more. Everything's been a blessing. Talking on stuff like this and kind of going back through the path is obviously bringing it up, but on a daily basis, I usually don't think about these things. It's not something that brought me back or holds me down. It's more made me who I am and going forward kind of stuff. But now that we've resurfaced it, it's, there were some tough hurdles, but they all had a silver lining to them, and I got a lot of great experiences. It would have been nice to play in the NHL longer. It would have been nice to get to a spot in Europe and stick there for 10 years and not move around, but everything happened for a reason, and all of it gave me some kind of blessing.
Absolutely. And it is obviously a powerful question that I asked, because, it's for everybody. Everyone thinks of it differently. And as you said, hockey and Rob Schremp are in the same sentence all the time. And not only are they in the same sentence, but you're also wearing it as well on your head as well. So your hat has 44 Vision, which we'll get to in a second, which is your own hockey development program. And, you brought up earlier, or just a couple of minutes ago, that you met your wife out in Latvia in the KHL area. But then you were obviously able to return home and get a little stint in the AHL in the then affiliate of the Florida Panthers in Maine, Portland, Maine. So again, not too far from home, which is great as well. But, at that point in time when you were able to play on the AHL level once again, did you feel that you were able to possibly get back there?
Yeah, I think my level was there in the beginning of the year, and it was kind of one step away from being back where I wanted to be. And also, you know, in the beginning of the season, I performed to that level. So at one moment, I thought I was maybe going to get a chance to go back up, but it didn't happen. And then that really made me realize, like, okay, forget about it. Just let it go. You know, just enjoy being home for a year. And that was the idea. I needed a break from Europe, really. You know, it's kind of a double-sided play. One was let's, you know, they kind of age, give it one more shot. And the other thing was I just needed a little bit of home cooking, so to speak, and be close to mom and dad and be close to my own environment, English speaking, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it really goes a long way. I can adapt, but it's sometimes, you know, I got to the point where the hockey wasn't going great, and the aspect of having tremendous success, so to speak. And I just wanted a break and just get back home and kind of a reset and go from there. So it was great to do that with also having the carrot be, if I play well enough, I could play in the NHL possibly. So that was motivating and exciting. And it was a great year. I enjoyed it. My then fiance at the time and I got married. So we got married in Portland, Maine, and all these blessings. You know what I mean? So I didn't reach my goal and make it to the NHL in Portland, but it served a purpose where I got to reset in life, so to speak, start some new chapters, got married. Our chocolate lab, we got our dog there, another one. But
there you go.
There's a lot of great memories and great stuff that came out of that year. And then the following year, I went back to Europe and continued for a few more years. But that reset was really important for me, playing for Tom Rowe and Scotty Ellen, Scotty Ellen I had in Long Island as well. So it was a reunion. Really cool to have that familiar. I can't say that word. Familiar.
It's all good. Yeah.
Familiarity. There we go. Got it. But yeah, so Scotty was great, and it was good to see a familiar face and play for him again. A lot of good stuff. So you got to play with a lot of those young guys that are up in Florida now and see their growth and be the old man, so to speak, because it's a young league. You know, when I came back, it was very young. I made the All-Star game and got a chance beat up with Chris Bork again. We had history from World Junior, so and the All-Star game was back in Syracuse, so that was really special and had about 500-600 people at the game actually. So it was a great year. It was really special in a lot of ways. So didn't reach the goal, but again, looking at it from a different perspective, silver linings were all around. Yeah,
and you know what? Just to recap on that, Rob, and you said it perfectly where earlier, you know, to go back and look and get a lot of the memories or the path of life resurfaced, you know, it kind of gets you a little bit. And that's also during this hockey week here, that's what we've been doing. And we've seen a lot of reactions similar to yours where, you know, we really dig deep into the roots there, into your roots and see, you know, how all of this not only made you a better person, but look, again, now you got married in Portland, Maine, but also, again, you're not the only one where, you know, people have restarted their life as well and have made it for the better with obviously someone else. You were able to make it with your wife and your chocolate lab. See, I can't even say certain words too, but it's really, it's really amazing. And honestly gave me the chills just, you know, listening to your story where, you know, you need some home cooking, but also you're able to, you know, bring your wife back here with you and start a fresh life again with 44 Vision in the works. I would assume after your post-retirement, you announced your retirement November of 2018 from professional hockey. So, you know, that has to be tough for you, especially when hockey and Rob Schremp, again, as we said earlier, is always in the same sentence. But now 44 Vision became something for you. Talk about how long after retirement or even before retirement were you thinking about this project?
I just started this project about 6 months ago.
Well, then never mind.
Yeah, I needed a break from the game just to clear my brain and kind of separate myself from the game a little bit for a minute and just see what else I could do outside of hockey. I think it was really important for me to challenge myself and see what else outside of hockey I could do. So some business stuff and worked in different spaces and got some kind of experience and circled back with what I learned. So now that I want to figure out the lane that would fit right not just jump back into hockey just to jump back into hockey, but the lane that would, like I said, suit me right. And this one is great. It's, a chance to give back the knowledge and experience that I gained through the game. And, basically played in every top league in the world. It's a unique perspective because it can help people in North American ice and you can help people in European styles. And so from there, I started doing it with some players, and then I figured I wanted to have a big impact on hockey on a scale size. So I teamed up with, first started doing with the women's players, and I circled in with, the Olympic team members, and then I started talking with the NWHL players. So we have top tier knowledge and experience getting circled back in the women's game, trying to help that game grow. And then I started circling back with my male friends and ex-NHL guys, and we built it out to about 32 coaches that are all resume played at highest levels of hockey with their knowledge and experience now going back into players through their film, using game film. You break it down in their game scenarios and help them learn from their mistakes and on an individual basis where, from my experience in hockey as well, a lot of the video was it's geared towards team and system. It's not geared towards you individually, so to speak. So it's more about systems and being in the right place at the right time. Now is where our experience comes in, and we kind of help that player on an individual basis learn how to execute when their time's up, so to speak. When the play before check, creates a turnover, what do you do with the puck now and be offensive? Or for defensemen, we have, Freddie Meyer teamed up with him, Danny Savret, my London days, if you want to learn gap control or like those individual details. Those are where the coaches kind of insert themselves and help out these players and help them grow. So it's a unique platform, and I'm really excited about it because it's, it can be implemented anywhere that has game film. And, it basically supplies a resource for players all around the world where you're no longer sort of handcuffed to whatever the resource in your community is. Now you have other resources, and these resources are pretty reputable.
Yeah, and just to be able to team up with a former teammate such as Freddie Meyer, who you played with in Atlanta and also here out on Long Island, to be able to make these or rekindle these relationships, if you will. Also, the most recent player, Eddie Lack as well, who's actually our guest on Wednesday. You're able to have him. You're able to have Don Kernan, Mike Motto as well. Talk about not only for some you're rekindling relationships, but also you're making new ones as well. Present day, and you're doing it here on your or in your business. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's extremely cool. Like I said, the lane I wanted is to fit, and having a family and want to be kind of stable, so to speak. This lane fit great because it's kind of building out a team like atmosphere for guys and players and girls. I think that's the big thing when you put the stick down, you miss that the most, the camaraderie, the teammates, and having that support. So I wanted to make it in some sense like that, so people feel comfortable when they do put it down, they have something to do and give back and have a job, so to speak. So creating a unique lane and getting back with my old buddies, getting on the phone and, rekindling the friendships. And it's like we never stopped seeing each other, so to speak, or stop being teammates, so to speak. It's really special. And then the new ones, hockey's kind of the same. So it's when you meet a new person, it's really, you kind of mesh pretty quick. It's a lot of the same mentalities and same humor, so to speak, same personalities. Everybody's unique for sure, but there's a lot of the same. So it's really cool. It's been a great run right now. And my business partner, Dave Cock, has been unbelievable at helping me in like a mentorship role at understanding how to build and how to execute. And it's been a really fun trip post-career.
Yeah, and just to give a direct quote from your website, because right after this, I would say all of our viewers, I want to find out where we can find 44 Vision. Quote, I developed 44 Vision Hockey with the intent of helping players advance their game on an individual level to focus on honing the individual skill and preparation, both on and off the ice, necessary to realizing their hockey dreams, end quote. Rob, where can we find more information on 44 Vision?
It's 44, the number 44, visionhockey.com. That's our website. We also have social media. we have LinkedIn. We have all the social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and we kind of use, those platforms are to kind of show the knowledge and let people know what we're up to and how we're, what kind of resources we're bringing to the table for the individual player. And, once you get signed up there, pick your coaches who you want to work with. And then from there you get to go away and the coach kind of comes into your hockey career, so to speak, and helps be a support beam and give you some knowledge, maybe some experience that they have through your video. It's really, I like the lane. I mean, obviously I build it, I'm biased, but having that resource, I think a lot of people, the feedback has been like, oh, I can only imagine if I had this when I played. And I thought about what could I do? What was missing when I played? And I thought that like individual, there's some people in the game that do this stuff. For sure. It's not, I haven't created something that's not there, so to speak, but in the way that we're doing it as a team atmosphere and bringing a bunch of coaches together is unique. But that's back to the point, like through my career, it was more like needed those little reminders of almost like at that level when you're in the NHL, you've done the things to get there, the things sometimes you can almost forget.
Yeah.
Really. Like it's almost someone there to be like, hey, remember like use this little move or that little technique. Just a little reminder for the youth. It's more teaching them that technique and like, hey, this is where this can be implemented. Here's how you do it, kind of thing. So there's value add all over the place on the individual basis. So you don't, I think just having someone there constantly reminding you, and somebody with us where our what am I trying to say? Like I care about my player, right? Like that's who I'm not worried about the 19 other kids on his team. Like he's my guy, or that's the girl that I'm working with. They're my concern, and that, you know what I mean? So I'm looking out for what's best for them. And that's something that can be helpful for them. There's no motive other than helping them be, successful and achieve what they want.
Looking out for their best interest. Yeah, absolutely. So as we head into the final 5 minutes of the third period of our conversation here, the biggest thing here for me is the coolest thing, Rob, is that you've received praise from two of the best hockey players in the entire NHL, one of which being Patrick Kane, Chris Kreider as well, USA Olympic goaltender on the women's side, Katie King as well. They have given you quotes, and I saw it when I was doing my homework for 44 Vision, and they were nice enough to quote about your business. How good does that feel to receive almost an endorsement from these guys?
I think Kaner was that was very special. Knowing him from the London Ice days, but to hear how he's thought of what I was up to, and it felt I guess gratified and excited because it starting something new out, to have people at the highest level recognize that it is helpful and there's a space for it. It's no longer you're kind of proof of theory, so to speak. And the other quotes are for coaches that are on our platform. So this is really, you're going to the hockey community and being validated of what your resume says one thing, but when you have people like this speak highly of you, I think it feels really good, and it also helps other people understand your level of knowledge of the game. And it's very good for the business, obviously, to have those people recognize what we can do for other people.
Yeah, it's really good stuff and really powerful as well, where, as you said, hockey's in the same sentence as you. And now, you're succeeding in your post-hockey career, not only in life, but also in your hockey career as well with 44 Vision. Really good stuff. Now with COVID, has there been, and obviously I'm assuming there has been in the minor sense here stateside, but the good thing for you, as you've been explaining to us, is that, it's a lot of virtual stuff where they send in videos and they get whatever. But in terms of in Florida, because I believe that's where you're based out of for 44 Vision is Florida, according to your site, or out of Texas. Okay. So actually being out of Texas now, with that state being, heading on the rise again with these COVID cases, has the virus has it had any effect on the way things are going here with 44 Vision, or no?
Nope, no, not really. So, that the mindset too was, I understood that's a major hurdle. But going forward with it anyways was more like looking to you can learn from last season sort of thing and do your homework, and whatever happened last season, if you want to build on that, we can go back and use that data to kind of give you practice plans for the summer and going forward. So it's not, like nobody's playing games right now, so you can't insert, but again, there's still opportunity if game film lies from last season. My idea is you get a practice plan to get better, and we see what the mistakes were, where you could, implement some of our advice and help, mold your game or get better at it. There's opportunity there still, even with what's going on. So it's, to study that, and then the rinks get open, and then you have a practice plan, right? So that's, while we're sitting, I thought about, there's only certain ways you can get better at the game when this is going on. And I think in my opinion, from my experience, would be studying my game film would be one way, really, what my mistakes were, what I could have done better. If there's somebody giving me, not only just me, if I had somebody kind of overlooking it with, a higher level view of it, and so like, you could have done this here, you could have done that there, you start to envision that. And I think that's really important. New ideas in your game, and it creates a different thought process.
Yeah, and you know what? You actually answered the next question that I was going to ask you, which is, for those aspiring athletes stateside, wondering, for those that are told to stay inside, obviously some shelter in place, New York pause, whatever the case may be, how do you hop over that hurdle to, beat out the mental demons that you may develop from staying inside or from whatever the case may be, because of everything here, where you might say to yourself, okay, well, I can't make it to the big league, or I can't make it to the show, because I'm told to stay inside, and my development has been halted. So that's really a perfect answer, is to look back at game film. Is there anything else that you would like to add to that? Any advice that you would like to give, especially some of your young players too, that don't have the facilities or anything where they're able to enter during this pandemic?
Yeah, it's like I said, there's only certain ways to get better at this. There's stick handling, around the house or in the garage. But even then, I did kind of put a post out about that, about doing it with a purpose, and kind of thinking of where implements into your game. You go out and work on shooting, shoot with a purpose, practice with a purpose. Whatever you're doing to be creative in this time, making sure it's purposeful, I think, is important. And there's a lot of great stuff out there. Skills coaches putting drills online. There's plenty of stuff out there. So there's still ways to get better at your game. And the way that the lane that I created was not because of COVID at all, but obviously COVID is here. So here's a way to be creative, and here's a way to get better. I think that's, for me, and it's really studying the film, because that's the detail. Like, what your game execution is and what you're doing in a game is how you advance. And like you said, right now is such a weird time. So in my opinion, this is actually the way to get better right now. It's to study the film. It's to improve on those areas and those decision making, and walk it through. Obviously, I'm at the end with the business of it, so it seems like I'm steering you there. But that's why I created it. Like, to get better, you study your film all the time. You can watch it on the phone. Kids are on their phone all the time. Players are on the phone all the time. You have these clips where you're envisioning watching them, and then it's no different. I've seen, like my last year playing guys playing Fortnite. They're watching clips on YouTube, and then they're going to Fortnite and executing. This is no different. Watching your game film and then going out and doing it and executing and building picture memory. I think it's really important. It was calculated how I brought this platform. Like, that's how I did. I watched the film, I studied it, practiced it, perfected it, and then implemented it. That's the steps. And I think that's how you get better, that, in my opinion, and through my experience. So if someone else has a different way that they got better, that they can implement it, for sure. I don't think I'm the only guy with the answers, but this is the answer that I have for what made me a better hockey player and how I can help someone else be a better hockey player.
Yeah, one of your, actually, on, as we said earlier, on Wednesday, we had Eddie Lack on, and I remember I had asked him the same exact question. And I'll tell you this, just a little, it's like a little joke. We're actually out of time, but with one last question, he actually said, when we asked him that, he said, really, he considers it almost as an excuse. You have to make sure that, you you get better every single day, and you have to leap over any hurdle that you see or that could potentially come your way. And for you, as you're giving back in the hockey world, hockey community with 44 Vision, it's really an amazing thing. Last question for sure, Rob. We've asked all 31 of our guests what their favorite ice cream flavor was. The reason why is because here stateside, summer is officially here, which obviously we're a few weeks after the start of summer. But with this tropical storm that just passed, we need something, again, to look forward to. We're getting things thrown at us left and right between unrest in America, COVID, tropical storms now here on the East Coast, and also being told to stay inside. So we need something to look forward to. Your co-coach, if you will, Eddie Lack, had said that, quote, I will read you the exact quote because I know you could use a good laugh. I am a basic vanilla bitch, end quote. So now I will ask you this, Rob Schremp, being this is the conclusion of Hockey Week. What is your favorite ice cream, and are you a basic vanilla bitch too?
No, I'm a mint chocolate chip guy.
Mint chocolate chip, excellent. That makes you the 7th person to like mint chocolate chip on this program. That's pretty good. That's excellent. So I think we figured it out, what everyone likes here. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is Rob Schremp, everybody, former Edmonton Oiler, New York Islander, and Atlanta Thrasher forward, and now currently the owner and founder of 44 Vision Hockey. Rob, tell us one more time where we can find 44 Vision, please.
The website is 44visionhockey.com. You find us on the internet. You can also find us on social medias, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Very good. So, Rob, I cannot thank you enough for joining me here this Saturday evening to conclude our Hockey Week. We saved the best for last, and really a powerful conversation to head back to the roots of your early stages of your hockey career and now your life. So, cannot thank you enough for joining me here this evening, Rob.
Thank you. Appreciate the time, and thanks for thinking of me.
Absolutely. As always, episode number 33 comes your way on Monday with Newsday New York Mets beat writer Tim Healy starting at 8 p.m. Eastern right here on the Eastern Observer. For all of us here at the Eastern Observer, the Blackjack Media Networks, and Blue Line Deli and Bagels, it has been Hockey Week. It's been an amazing time. For Rob Schremp, myself, Joey Jarzynka, and for all of us at the Blackjack Media Networks, we'll see you next time.